There once was a developer named Pie in the Sky that coded games and creation kits to try and get by. Their first really big success was a game called Corncob 3D, released in 1992 and published by MVP. After the success of this flight sim/shooter, they got to work on a game creation kit for your computer. It let you easily make FPS games similar to Wolfenstein, although I can't think of appropriate rhymes that end in Wolfenstein. It saw significant success in the mid-90s, with dozens of games using it released onto floppies. Pie in the Sky's problem was there was an elephant in the room, a new first-person shooter by id known as Doom. But that's jumping ahead in time, so let's get back on track, and I'm done with the rhyming because rhyming is hard and getting a bit annoying. So yeah, let's take a look at Terror in Christmas Town, a shareware shooter released in 1995 and developed by Michael Zerbo using the Pie in the Sky game creation system engine. Not much else to say except that this shareware version is the only one I've ever seen, which isn't too surprising seeing as the full game was only available if you sent $10 directly to Mr. Zerbo himself. Oh, and it's kind of a follow-up to other GCS engine games, namely Santa's Rescue 3D and Dear Napped, both of which were developed by other people and teams as far as I know. A lot of the same assets are shared between them and they play more or less the same, but Terror is technically the most feature-packed of the three. The game starts off with a short sound clip.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Followed by quite possibly the most generic and misrepresentative startup screen I have ever seen. You've got a 256 color background, the name of the game and who it's by. It's the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your aesthetic taste. There is no menu, you're just plopped right into the game with some amazingly lifeless and repetitious music that almost makes Depth Dweller's soundtrack sound inviting. Yes, the percussion really is that overbearing. I didn't do anything to it, so any potentially interesting tune that may be there is completely drowned out. From here, you pick up a note that has evolved sentience and is happy to see you. The Freak of Nature lets you know that Santa's lead elf has been kidnapped by the Polar Bear King, and it's up to you to find and unfreeze him before Christmas arrives. Make sure to hurry up or absolutely nothing will happen whatsoever, and you would not want that. The gameplay itself will more or less make you feel right at home if you're familiar with Wolfenstein 3D engine games. Navigate the heightless map, pick up weapons and ammo, shoot anything that moves, find keys to unlock doors, wash, rinse, get bored, go online, look at cat photos, run across something you wish you could bleach from your mind, and possibly get an awkward boner, repeat. If you think this sounds fantastically bland, then you'd be correct. And if you think this looks painful to play due to awkward controls, confusing level design, terrible hit detection, ugly textures, clunky inventory management, lame sound effects, then you'd also be correct as balls. Oh, okay, maybe that's being a bit harsh. After all, the game was designed by one guy, right? Wrong. Well, right in that it was kind of designed by one guy, but wrong in the sense that it wasn't exactly all his doing. Most of the assets come from game creation system titles that already existed, and he didn't even have to program an engine or anything since that was done too. I'm not trying to rag on this guy in particular, I'm not saying he has no talent or anything, it's just that any new additions seem pretty minimal and not particularly good. Basically, it has some new guns, new enemies, maps, and a few other things like some gameplay changes, and I mean, yeah, Terror in Christmas Town is certainly functional, but only just. The controls are incredibly loose. I never felt like I was in real control of what I was aiming or shooting at, and half the time the ammo is completely wasted, especially with the shotgun and machine gun, since for whatever reason the bullets must hit in exactly the middle of an enemy to do any damage. It's also not uncommon for the enemies to completely overwhelm you, even if you don't know they're doing so, since they can attack you through the walls, and from a distance, even though they're only sporting claws and teeth. And managing your inventory is just strange, since you have to press a button to pick anything up. If you want to use something in your inventory, like a health ice cube, for instance, you have to press the select button, navigate to the item, drop it on the ground, and then walk over it to use it. Not only that, but seeing the items to pick up is often far more difficult than it should be, since items like rocket ammo and certain keys blend in with the floor almost perfectly. Then you've got a ton of items all over the place that you can't pick up or interact with at all, like weird elf dudes and Christmas presents and decorations, reindeer that I assume are dead, and other things from the previous 2 games that have no reason to be here. Throw in some badly designed levels with glitchy doors and other wonders, and you're in for a horrible holiday experience indeed. You shouldn't be surprised to hear that I find Terror in Christmas Town to have a strangely appropriate name. It really is a terror, but not for the reason the simplistic plot implies. It just barely gets by as a functional game, and at least I didn't run into any kind of game-breaking bugs or crashes, but that really isn't saying much, because when it comes down to it, the game just looks like a bare minimum effort to put the GCS engine to use for a quick buck. Maybe the full version was significantly better, but really the game overstayed its welcome in the 20 minutes it took to complete the shareware version, so I have my doubts. As dull and repetitive as games like Wolfenstein 3D, Blake Stone, and Corridor 7 can get after a couple hours, this one reaches that level and worse in only a few minutes. Terror in Christmas Town really is a waste of time and really should only be checked out if you're into obscure pie-in-the-sky game engine stuff. Otherwise, you'll have more fun eating lumps of coal and roasting your nuts on an open fire or something. Merry Christmas! The new year can't come fast enough.